If you could change any choices you have ever made, would you? You can always make another choice and change the course of your success. Everyone has the potency to make inspired choices. Get ready to listen, share, and experience the creativity that is you. Now, here is the host of Inspired Choices radio show, Holographist coach, Christine McIver.
Well, here we are, my friends. I am so happy to have you here tonight. We are talking about creations. We're talking about words. We're talking about all sorts of interesting things. And you know what? I love when things are interesting. How about you? So tonight we're going to talk about language leads all your creations. Now, whether you are a soulpreneur, whether you're an artist, whether you're some kind of creator, and let me guess, is everybody a creator? Everybody is a creator. Everybody is creating something at any time. Whether you're making money at that creation or not, it's a different story, but we are all creators. And we're going to talk about everything about creation and how language really plays one of the biggest parts in your creation. Now, lots and lots of people talk about language. They talk about how, what you put out there, you get back. Yes, but there's a lot more to that than just that simple way of delivering. And that's what I really want to talk about, because I see a lot of people in the world who desire to have more, to desire to be more and show up more, and at the same time I hear and I read their language, and I can see where they're cutting themselves off in actually creating what they're saying that they desire, where they're on one half they're saying their desire, on another half they are actually saying without realizing that they don't want to create what they're saying. I know, that's all crazy. So the last time we were together, we talked about to be or not to be a friend to your employees. And I love that show because there's so much about what we are doing in our behavior as leaders with our teams, and how we are impacting our team members in our choices. And it's so important that each and every one of us that are leaders in the world, that we pay attention to how we are impacting those around us and how we are really taking from them. And so that was a great show. I really enjoyed that. And if you were part of that show, you heard that show, I'd love to hear your feedback on that and how that's actually impacting you in your business, and what's changing possibly for how you are showing up. I know I did hear from a couple of people, and one of my clients actually said that show was phenomenal for her leading her team. She said it really was, the timing was perfect because she was about to really start to expand, and what the information that was shared that night really helped her in communicating with her team. So tonight we are going to talk about language leads all your creations. And if you hear something tonight that is inspiring to you, something that really speaks to you, or something that you're even challenged about, I would love to hear from you. Now, if you're listening live, and we are live on more than 55 platforms right now on the Inspired Choices Network, you're welcome to join us in the chat room, and the producers will get you hooked up to ask me a live question on the air, or you can just type that right in the chat room itself. If you're one of our podcast listeners, you're actually listening to the podcast, or you're watching the TV episode on over 100 plus platforms, please feel free to email me, Christine, at inspiredchoices.ca, and I would love to hear your comments. I'd love to hear your questions. You'd be surprised at what we can actually create, just an exchange back and forth with texting or emailing. So you can find me at Christine at inspiredchoices.ca is my email address. Christine McIver, you're going to find me all over the internet. So let's jump into the show. So language is an essential part of all our creations, no matter the type of creation. And that's a part that I don't think most creators are paying attention to. Most creators are paying attention to the hows, or how much, or when, and they're not actually paying attention to some of the things that come way before all of those things come to fruition. Do you ever hear what you are saying about your creations? So I want you to think about that. I really want you to think about that. What have you been saying about your creations? Are you like a gushing mother who is just overwhelmingly proud of your creations? Or are you trying to be modest and hold back and not really say a whole lot? Are you, the critical person who is, really not talking about it, or when you're talking about it, you're going, well, it's not good enough, or it's not producing enough, or, you're looking for all the spaces around your creations that don't measure up to where you believe it should be or where you've been hoping it would be? Or are you someone that, you've got this critical voice going on constantly in your mind as your heart is trying to pull you in the direction of that creation? Where are you on that scale? And I can tell you something, my friends. Most people, I would say probably 98% of people, are on all of those scales pretty much simultaneously when they're in creation until they stop and they consciously pay attention to all of the mind chatter that's happening in the midst of their creations. Are the words in your mind and heart reflecting the outcome of your creations? So if you were to take the words that you have been saying in your mind just to yourself about your creations, and you were to actually write them down or type them in a post and put them somewhere, would they be an invitation to people coming to your creations, choosing your creations, wanting to work with you, wanting to create with you? Or would they actually reflect them away, push them as far away from you as possible? Truthfully, it would be a fun exercise, wouldn't it? To actually write down the thoughts that are coming up for you, to really examine where your words are at. Are you ready to create with language in a way that leads you forward to greater joy? Are you? Or are you actually, soon as I said that, in my mind, I could hear people go, yeah, likely that's likely not possible. Isn't that funny? Isn't it funny how we have these desires on our heart, and the minute we start to maybe think or believe or hope that they will come to fruition, very shortly thereafter, the negatives start to come in. It's very, very interesting. So let's talk about creation. So what words do you use when you are in creation? What do you hear yourself saying? Do you hear yourself saying, have you ever heard yourself say, I'd really love to create something that contributes to paying my bills? Right? How many of us have said that, right? Especially if you're a soulpreneur, you'll be thinking about, okay, what can I do to create this? What can I do to create this? Well, what's the energy behind that? Did you hear what I said? What can I do to create this? So where is the focus? The focus is either on the action or the focus is on the result, right? There is no generative energy in the direction of creation. It's absolutely in the direction of the outcome, right? How can I get this? How can I get this? How can I get this? How many people are out there going, okay, what can I do? Like even when you are thinking about going to secondary school, or you're going on to, post-secondary school education, and what do? You sit down and you figure out, okay, what could I do that would be a generative career? And we start to, most people go in that direction. Most parents look at that. Most counselors, I can remember when I was in high school, a long time ago, yes, but I can remember when I was in high school, and this is what my counselor did. She looked at my marks in my classes that I had taken that were not targeted. Now, I know nowadays they're like getting the kids to target in grade 8 and grade 9 where they want to be 20 years later. And she looked at my marks and she said, okay, well, you're really good in this, and you're good in this, and you're good in this. Why don't you become an accountant? An accountant. And I did not have a great deal of self-confidence, and I really didn't have a big vision around what it would look like to be working on the other side of high school, right? I was so ingrained into school that that's all I was thinking about. And so when she said that, my logical brain said, well, that's logical. Well, I am good at that. So probably I would be good at this. And that's the path that I went on. I went on to college and to take accounting. And by the end of the first year of that accounting program in college, I would have known less than I did at the end of my 3 years of accounting that I took in high school. So 2 or 3 months in, I was bored out of my tree and I quit. I just up and quit. I didn't know what to do. And Jen's saying she didn't think she knew that about me. Yes, that's what I was going to be. I was going to be an accountant. And I was really good at accounting, and I still am very good at accounting, and I love playing with numbers and so on and so forth. But to do it as a career full time for, let's say, 40 to 50 years, I didn't think about that. And now that I think about it, that just makes me want to gag, because that is not something that turns me on and lights me up. So I was going in the logical outcome path. What would be successful had nothing to do with what I desired to create, what would be fun to create, and what actually lit me up. And so I I really, really, really finished that. I quit that course and I came home and I started working. I started working like different jobs as a secretary. That's what they were called then. And again, it was all about getting a job to pay bills, getting a job to pay bills, getting a job to pay bills. How many of us are in create something to pay a bill, create something to pay a bill, create something to pay a bill? Well, if your job or your creation was a friend or a lover or someone that adored you, and all you were saying was, the only reason I need you, creation or job, is so I can get this over here, I really don't give a crap about you, what would they do? Right? Where would your creation go? Where would your creation actually decide that, I don't want to be here? I feel like I'm being used. How many of you are actually using your creation for your outcome and have no care in the world about the actual creation, around how that creation desires to contribute to you, or how you can contribute to your creation? Are you using your creation for your pleasure? So this is, I know it's probably a little different than you've ever heard before. It's a little different way of looking at things. But what I actually know is that everything, and you know this too, if you're listening to my show, you know this, everything, every single thing in the universe is energy. Everything has an energy to it. And I know, after being in business for the number of years that I've been in, and all the creations that I have had the pleasure of being a part of, I know that they have an energy, and those energies are different. They show up different based on how I interact with them being birthed into the world, how I interact with them in the midst of change, and how I interact with them as I'm challenged. Not to mention, most people, if the outcome is what you're desiring, your words are very different. But yeah, if things are not turning out the way that you've desired, your words towards your creations can be incredibly unkind. So we are going to go for our break, the first break of the show. And when we get back, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into this. Again, I'd love to hear your questions in the chat room. Feel free to call in and ask your questions live. It would be so much fun to actually walk someone through the change of what they can be doing to actually have a more generative creation that could be fun in the middle of it, not just at the end. So my friends, you are listening to Christine McIver on the Inspired Choices show here on the Inspired Choices Network. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on our past experiences or what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join Inspired Choices radio show with holographist coach Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know but may not choose that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back and brings all her expertise during each and every show. Are you ready to create the life and the living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices radio show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Inspired Choices Show with holographist coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@InspiredChoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Hey, my friends, thank you so much for being with me here tonight. We are having a fabulous time talking about creations and what creations really are in the bigger scheme of things, what you are doing with or without your creations. So here's the really interesting thing. I just want you to get into this space with your creation. So if you're a creator and you're someone that maybe you create your own opportunity for income creation, and maybe you do that by, maybe you're an artist, maybe you're a photographer, maybe you're somebody that does websites, maybe you're someone who's a coach. We know a lot of coaches. Maybe you're someone who is a writer. Maybe you are someone who works with other people in their organizations and you're creating things within their organization. Wherever you are on that, as you start to come into the idea of creating something, right? What are your thoughts? What are your first thoughts that start to come forth for you when you start to think about creating something new? Do you automatically go into, oh, is that possible? Could that actually, how much time is that going to take? Do I have time for that? Will that be fun? Do I even want to do that? Right? Are you in that space? How many? Hands up. What are the first thoughts of your creation? Are you someone perhaps that says things like, and just even in your mind, all right, are you thinking about what would be fun to create? And do you get that energy of curiosity and excitement? What would be fun to create? I wonder what I could create in my business that would be so much fun that it would feel like the days were just flying and it would contribute to me and to other people in the world. I wonder what would love to be created with me. Do you feel the difference in that energy? Like, really feel the difference in that energy. The way you are with a creation is actually like a come hither, right? A come hither words. It's like, oh, come here, I want to play with you. Come here. I would really love to have some fun with you. Think of your creations like your lover. Really love up on your creations and ask them what would be fun to do together with a very curious mind. Now, here's the big difference, my friends. You can use all the great words, but what is going on inside of your body when you are using those words? Are you saying one thing, but feeling a completely different thing? Do you have worry on your mind? Do you have, I have to pay this bill, I have to create something on your mind? Are you thinking about, oh my gosh, if I don't succeed at this, I'm going to lose my car, I'm going to lose my house, I'm this or I'm that? Where is the energy in your body? Is the energy in your body aligned with the words that you are using? Because the words that you are using are going to fall on deaf ears of possible creations when the true energy, the true vibe that you're putting out there is worry and fear. And I can remember when somebody started to talk to me about things like this, I would say in my mind, well, what the hell am I supposed to do? I have to pay these bills. If I don't have the money for these bills, I am going to lose my house. I am going to lose my car. I'm not going to have money to feed myself, to feed my family. And I get that. I get that 100%. But here's the thing. If you don't believe in something, if you don't believe that you have the ability to create something, if you don't believe that you have the ability to, let's say, create a beautiful painting, the energy that you put into that painting is going to show up. The energy that you put into it, regardless of the words that you are using, that's what's going to show up. And that's why I really wanted to talk about language tonight, because it's not just the language coming from your mouth. It's the language that you're hearing in your mind, the language that is having you make the choices that you are making, right? Because your mind is going all the time, all the time, all the time. And the thoughts, the belief systems that are running through you are what are actually contributing mostly to your creations. Okay. So when you are really asking for something, so I can remember when I first started my business and I was coaching, and I was I had clients and I was charging very little. I didn't have the belief in myself. I didn't have the understanding of the value of what I had to bring to the table with me. Okay. They were all kind of laying dormant, if that makes sense. I had the capacity, I had the ability, but I didn't have the belief. So I actually could not find the capacities within me to bring them forth. And when you don't believe in yourself, when you don't believe in what you can do, it shows up. It shows up in everything that you're creating. So when I first started and I had coaching clients, and I really needed to expand, and I'm saying I needed to, it was like either go out and get another job or I needed to expand my business. And I was asking and asking and asking, what can I do? What can I create? And when you're in that nervous energy, everything starts to contract. You go into this deep, deep worry and everything starts to contract. And when that is occurring in your life, you're not going to receive new ideas. You're not going to receive new possibilities. You're also not going to see new possibilities show up right in front of you. Even people asking for someone to work with them with your specific capacities. They're not going to show up because when you're in worry, you contract. So this is a really important piece. You've got to acknowledge to yourself, I worry a lot. I'm worrying a lot, and that's actually working against me. So that it's totally changeable, my friends. One of the biggest things that you can do, to get out of worry is to play some, whether it's going outside for 15 minutes and walking with your dog and listening to the birds singing, being by the water, going out and having a snow fight. Right now we've got a lot of snow. What is it that you could do even for 10 or 15 minutes that could shift your energy out of worry? Now, if you're in worry, I'm telling you where you're going to be. You either are in the past or you are in the future. You're in the past looking at what you used to create, and you're projecting that into the future. That's what worry is. It's projecting the past into the future. Now, when we say we're worrying, it's like we're praying that it's not going to happen. But what we're actually doing is projecting it forward. And guess the one place where you are not when you are in worry? You are not in the present. When you are in the present and you are playing, you start to shift some of the energy. So play could be going and having a fun bath. Play could be getting on the floor and doing some stretches to some fun music. Play could be playing a board game with somebody. Whatever starts to take you out of the thoughts of worry, that starts to shift it for you. There's a great question in the chat room. How do we have time to play if we are so busy worrying? Yeah. And I get that. I 100% get it. But here's the thing. Everyone out there who is in the space of worry, you are not going to change that by continuing to sit there and rub your hands together and keep looking at your bills. You're not going to change that. If you desire to have new ideas come to you, you've got to get out of that energy of worry. And so you've got to force yourself. You've got to force yourself to go and do something different. Do you know, let me ask you this question. Do you know that one, you came here to create a reality, to create a life that is fun? Do you know that? Why else would you show up on this planet when there's so many opportunities to have fun? Why? Each and every one of us came here to create a different reality and to have fun doing it. Maybe you have fun worrying. Is worrying fun to you? You know, I have a beautiful, wonderful, amazing, strong, potent mother. And that woman has worried so much in her life. She worried so much. And, you know, probably about 20 years ago or so, she was saying something and she was worrying about me. And I said, Mom, stop worrying about me. You're not changing anything and you're not contributing. Be excited for me. Ask me things that are exciting. And together we'll change all of this. And I remember maybe 2 or 3 times in, you know, she would say things again that would be in worry and worry. And then finally she said something once and then she said, oh, it doesn't matter. You're going to do what you want anyways. And you're always choosing things that make you happy, Christine. So I know you're going to be fine. And that I just about fell over. That shifted in her. The worry started to dissipate from her, especially when it came to me, because I had a different mindset. I made a different choice about my future. Now, I could sit here and go on and on and on about all of the challenges that I have had in my life. And, you know, you can ask me any questions. I'm happy to tell you what kind of challenges I've had in my life. I don't want to go there right now. I want to go to the space of how I came out of that. And one of the biggest ways was I made the demand. I made the demand of myself that I was going to change it. I was going to change it. I'm going to be here anyways. I'm going to have to step up and change this because this is actually going to kill me if I stay in this worry. This is going to drain all of the life out of me. And eventually I will want to leave my body. And that was not something that I wanted to entertain. So I made the demand. And then shortly after making the demand that I was going to change it, I made the commitment that no matter what, I was going to change it. When you start to come with that language about yourself and about where you are at with creations, your dance and your words with creation definitely start to change. So my friends, we're up to our second break. When we get back, we're going to dive in deeper into this. And I would love to hear more of your comments, more of your questions in the chat room. And until we get back, I want you to think about what would be fun for you to play with. 10, 15 minutes. What would be fun? What are the things that turn you on and light you up that you could do tonight or tomorrow that would start to shift it? You don't have to shift 365 or 180 degrees. Even a 1% shift starts to change everything. Okay, so stay tuned, my friends. You're listening to Christine McIver on the Inspired Choices show here on the Inspired Choices Network. And when we get back, we'll continue to dive into all about language and creations.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on our past experiences or what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join Inspired Choices radio show with holographist coach Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know but may not choose that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back and brings all her expertise during each and every show. Are you ready to create the life and the living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices radio show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you ready to have pleasure with your business? Yes, I said pleasure with your business. The Pleasure of Business a la carte will surprise you with topics like meet yourself in the boardroom, money, services, and you. Expand your visibility. The pleasure of communication. The pleasure of Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Christine McIver has so much pleasure with business and loves teaching all things business. Beginning a new business? Desiring to expand a current business? Or looking to resurrect a business that has been dormant? This program will get you fired up and bring more pleasure than you have ever imagined. Exhausted with your excuses for not creating a phenomenal business? Join now for all the pleasure with business. Pleasure of Business a la carte gives you total choice for what you desire and what your business requires. That's 24 weeks of different topics to choose from with weekly calls, audio and video recordings, and PDFs. This class will have you dive right in and use tools to create the business that has been speaking to you. Go to inspiredchoices.ca for full details or join the Facebook page Pleasure of Business a la carte. Now is the time for you and your business.
This is the Inspired Choices Show with holographist coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@InspiredChoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everybody. I am so happy that you are here tonight. We are talking all about language and creations and what that actually looks like. Most people are walking through their life using the same language over and over and over again. They're not changing up their language, or they're not even paying attention to their language. They're putting out a lot of wishes. They're putting out a lot of, oh, I wish this would happen. I wish I could have this. I wish, that. But they're actually not looking at the beginning stages of where they desire to be, right? Think of it like this. If you're an athlete, let's say you're a runner, right? You are practicing every day, every day, every day. Runners and swimmers and gymnasts, they're getting up very early every day. Figure skaters, hockey players, you name it. Anyone that's in the arena of sports, they know that they have to train for their sport in order to be strong, in order to actually get to their big, big desires, right? Well, one of the big things about being in your own business is you are also every single day training to create those big, beautiful creations. All right. Your words are actually the space, the beginning words are your training ground. And what the words that you are doing, where they're coming from, if they're coming from a demand energy, like I need to create something right now, I need something. What can I create? What can I create? Right? That's gonna just send all possibilities running away. Remember that you are the creator, the nurturer, the the infuser of your creations. You know, the Inspired Choices Network is one of my creations. And I was in my own business for 6 years before I actually created the Inspired Choices Network. Actually, that's not true. I started producing in 2014 and I started to create the Inspired Choices Network in 2016. So I was actually in my own business for 7 years before the Inspired Choices Network came to me. However, here's the big deal, the big difference is that creation didn't just show up in 2016, right? The words and my desire and the way that I interacted with creation started to come many years in advance of that because I was asking, and I was asking from a place of curiosity. And I was grateful as I asked, and different opportunities started to present themselves. And I knew one of the things that right at the very beginning of my business is I acknowledged that there was millions and millions and billions and trillions of dollars in the world. And there's 8 billion people in the world. There are a lot of people in the world that are looking for the things that I bring to the table. I knew this. I knew that there were people out there looking, and I maybe didn't know them and they maybe didn't know me, but I knew that the opportunities were available. I would watch different shows where people were bringing their ideas to the platform, right? Dragon's Den was one of the ones. I would hear people talking about their different creative ideas. There would be all sorts of really fabulous opportunities available, and people would be talking to me about what was going on in their world and what was happening for them. And um, and they would be sharing with me, sorry, they would be sharing with me what they were creating in the world, and I started to really tap into the different possibilities that were available. If these possibilities in the world were available for others, why not me? I knew that these things were available. Now, my belief system in myself and my understanding of what I desired to have in the world, they were not matched yet, right? My belief system in myself was much lower, but I always knew that there was a lot of possibilities. So I held that. I kept looking at that from the space of, hey, something really is possible. It's working with other people. And I started to celebrate. I started to celebrate what other people were creating. Good for you. Oh my gosh, that would be so amazing. I'm really happy for you. And I would know that my energy was contributing to them, but it was also contributing to me. The words that I was using was contributing to me because I knew it was possible. So as I started to look at what would be fun and ask what would be fun, what would be generative, what could I create? And I didn't dismiss any creation. I didn't dismiss it like that's not a big deal, or it's just a little thing, it's not really doing much for me. I mean, imagine again that creation is your lover. Yeah, like he's okay, but he doesn't really make me happy, but I let him hang around, right? Wow, right? That's what so many of us are doing with our creations, with our words. We are creating that. When the opportunity came to me to be able to produce radio, I was like, okay, well, initially I didn't really think about like, oh, I had been doing radio for a number of years. So I knew how to, as a host, how to do a radio show myself. So I understood that. And I'm good with computers. So that wasn't a big concern. And the person that was giving me this opportunity said, I'll show you. It's not hard. So I was like, okay. And I really didn't go into conclusion about what it could give me. It wasn't like I was showing up with a demand of, I expect you to be like this, right? It was an opportunity that came to me. And so with that opportunity, I gave it a try. And slowly, as I was in the creation of producing, I started to ask more questions like, what else is possible here? How much fun would this be to be doing this even more? I wonder who else out there might be interested in this. And I started to take my eyes off of my worries and I started to look at the creation and get excited about the creation and understand that the creation probably knew more than I did about was what was really possible. And so, yeah, somebody says, how do you stay out of conclusion? Well, you've got to honestly, here's how you stay out of conclusion. Stop it. When your mind goes there, just stop it. Say, no, I'm not going down that road. Just this one time, I'm not going to go to conclusion. I'm going to go into play. You know, when you're in play, you're not thinking about things, right? Like if you were on a swing right now, if you were on a swing and you were swinging on that swing, and oh, I saw this really cool video today. They have these great big huge swings sitting in the ocean, and the two people walked out to them and stood up on these swings and they were swinging in the ocean. Oh my God, it was so amazing. If you don't know this, swinging on swings is one of my absolute favorite things in the whole wide world to do. I'll be going out for a walk and I'll see a park and I'll run over to the swing and I'll swing in it. And I'm in so much fun at that time, right? And when you're in play, you're out of conclusion. So how much more play is required for you to shift, to begin to shift your perspective? Conclusion, you've got to understand what conclusion does is conclusion immediately shuts the doors on possibility, immediately shuts the doors. There's no possibility of anything else coming in. When you are looking to change your language and you're looking to change your creations, you have got to be so conscious, so present with every thought, with every word, that it might be exhausting. But here's the thing, my friends, you don't have to be perfect out of the gate. You know, I remember years ago when we first started to look at the words that we use and the language that it creates, people would beat themselves up because they would be like, oh my God, like I said this, I probably screwed it up, blah, 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 blah. And it was like, no, that's actually not true. Remember, you're shifting things. If you are shifting 1%, if you heard yourself say 10 times today, oh my God, I'm going to screw this up 10 times. And then tomorrow you said one time out of those 10 times, you said, I'm really doing this. It's happening. And then you went back and you maybe said another 7 times after that, oh, I'm really screwing this up. You shifted that one time. Any change, any beginning change is a change. It's a change. And when you are really holding yourself present to your thoughts, when you're really holding yourself present to the language in your mind, the language coming out of your mouth begins to change. And that's when the opportunities start to happen. If you are beating yourself up, you're going to continue to create more opportunities to beat yourself up. You are. That's because that's the energy, that's the space, that's the words that you are in. How many people do you know in the world that are creators? Go on a social media platform, go on a fun one. Facebook is not so much fun a lot of the times, and Twitter can get really intense. But go on some platforms, like two of my favorite platforms for creation and fun and play is my newest favorite. My favorite is TikTok and Instagram. People that are on there are in creation and play simultaneously. It shifts you into one, knowing that there are so many possible creations in the world, and two, it starts to take you out of your worry brain. All right, start to play there. Begin to focus on one area where you know that you're worrying, and the language that's inside your body, inside your mind, is not contributing. Focus on one area and start to say, today I'm going to change this. I'm going to begin to make a difference with this today. I know things are possible. I know that there are amazing stories in the world where people had nothing, where people went bankrupt, where people, physically they were hurt. My friends, I've gone bankrupt. My friends, I've been in a really bad car accident where I thought I was going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. My friends, I've had a really bad divorce. My friends, I've been with an abuser. I've been in a lot of shitty places. And I got myself out of it. And the way that I did that was I started to decide. I decided I'm going to change this. And it has to start with me. I'm responsible. I can't be the victim anymore of my problems. I have to be the victor. And it has to start with my words and with my knowing. And that's when the language started to come out of me differently. Okay, we are up for our last break of the show. This went really fast. You are listening to Christine on Inspired Choices on the Inspired Choices Network. Thank you so much for being here. Let's see what we can create in the last segment. Stick around, my friends. We'll be right back.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on our past experiences or what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join Inspired Choices radio show with holographist coach Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know but may not choose that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back and brings all her expertise during each and every show. Are you ready to create the life and the living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices radio show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Inspired Choices Show with holographist coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@InspiredChoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
How many of you, my friends, have decided what your business is supposed to look like? Have decided how you're supposed to make money? Have decided what your worth is going to be? How many of you have decided that a long time ago? Yeah, most people have decided that long before they ever get into any of this. And what that does, that decision, that conclusion, that expectation starts to shut down the possibilities. I remember one year, it was probably like 2009. I actually did a vision board workshop and I had a bunch of people in my home. Oh, I miss those days. And we did a vision board together and we had a lot of fun. We were all over my basement floor. It was fantastic. And I remember the vision board that I actually had. And up in the corner of the vision board, I had written Blog Talk Radio. And it just sounded fun to me. I didn't know what that meant. I had no idea what a radio show was. I really did not understand it at all. But there was something about that popped for me. And about, I don't know, 4 or 6 months later, I actually had a radio show company contact me and ask me if I ever thought about doing radio. And everything in my body just screamed. I was so excited. Oh my God, the vision board works. The vision board works. And I said, I had thought about it. And Long story short, in a very short period of time, I had my own radio show. Again, I didn't know what I was doing. But the fact of the matter is I was putting out asks of desires. I didn't sometimes ignorance, like not knowing about something, is actually a gift because it keeps your brain out of it, right? It keeps your conclusions and your decisions out of it. And so in a very short period of time after that, like I said, I had my own radio show and I started to do radio, and I was tripping and doing all sorts of things, but I kept asking, how much fun can I have? How much fun can I have? What would like to be created? And I was asking those questions as opposed to, oh my God, I hope we have these people and I hope this happens and blah, 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 blah. And I kept going into this nonsense, or I wasn't going into this nonsense. I kept just coming back to how much fun can I have, and what could I talk about, and what would be generative to talk about. And I would ask my radio show, show me what you would like me to talk about. And I would actually speak to my creations. And when you're speaking to your creations, they're going to respond, not with words, not with, human talk, but they are going to respond and they're going to start to show you. So my question to you is, my friends, what could you be doing? How could you be playing with your creations in a different way so that it's fun for you? And then look at what I actually ended up creating after a number of years. As I kept playing with this and kept playing with this, I then became a producer. And in a short time, after I started producing, I actually had a lot of people that wanted to learn what I do. I still have so much fun teaching people about how to do what I do in being your own host. And now we have TV as well. So I teach people how they can do this and how this can be a contribution to them. But I am always in the question of what else? What else would be fun? What else would be a contribution? And we've got some exciting things coming up. I can't wait to share with people. And I don't think that I will ever come out of that space. I am not in worry. And yet at the same time, I'm always nurturing. I'm always loving, and I'm honoring my creations. I'm showing up with my creations. I'm presenting my creations to the world in the best possible light, like I would if I was sharing anything with people that I love and that I care about. Be kind to yourself and be kind to your creations. Pay attention to the thoughts that you are thinking, to the expectation, and pay attention to, are you acting as if, are you acting one way inside and another way on the outside, right? My friends, this life is short. It goes so quickly, so quickly, and your opportunities are endless. Know that the universe has your back, and you, even though you may not think it, you have your back as well. Would you give your creations the opportunity to also have your back? Would you be willing to play, recklessly play, knowing that the energy of play is also the energy of receiving? That there's no conclusions, there's no expectations. The energy of play and possibilities is right there for the taking. It is available to you. I would love to hear what's going on with you. I would love to hear about the possibilities in your business that you've not maybe been nurturing very kindly. What would it take for you to actually reach out and share with me what's going on so that we could create a different reality for you? My friends, coming up next week, we're going to be talking about making money part of your business, not the end result. And, we've been doing a series of business shows for months and months now, and I'm absolutely loving it. And I hope that you are too. Wherever you are in your life, in your business, please know you're in the greatest spot, and you're supposed to be here right now. And everything is going to create moving you forward to the next step. Remember, no matter what, you always can make another choice. Until next week, my friends, stay happy.
Thank you
And
for
play,
choosing to
play,
listen
play.
to Inspired Choices Radio Show. Christine McIver will return next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, be willing to choose what you really desire. This is your life, making the choices that bring you all that you desire.
See you next week.